Well, it's officially 3 o'clock. If everybody's ready, I'd like to call to order the special called meeting today, Friday, April 3rd, 2020. Before we get started, I'd like to go over the members of the Board of Supervisors that are in attendance today. And then this is our first official web-based meeting also. So I'll go over those that are electronically present. So today here are myself, Matt Garton, Shannon Cox, Cletus Nicely, Richard Shaw. With us electronically are James Griffith and Joan Vanderstaal. I'll ask each board member participating to wait until their name is called before commenting on each agenda topic. With that being said, I'd like to go over item 2A to discuss and consider a resolution confirming the declaration made on March 17th, 2020 of a local emergency in relation to the COVID-19 public health threat. I'd like to ask Mr. Ryan Moosepaw to go over that.
Thank you. State code requires that the board confirm emergency declaration by resolution. So we're just simply asking the board to do what we've done many times in the past with other emergency declarations here locally, and just to confirm this one as it relates to the current COVID-19 emergency.
Thank you, Ryan. I'd like to do a roll call basically for each board member to comment if they have any comments. I'll start like we normally sit here. Mr. Griffith?
Comment. Everything fine.
Mr. Shaw?
I agree with you.
Mr. Nicely?
No comment.
Mr. Bennett's not in attendance. Ms. Vanderstaal?
I think it looks good and much needed. Thank you for doing it.
Ms. Cox?
I agree with everything.
And I'm also in agreement. I will need a motion to approve and a second.
Sorry.
Have a motion by Mr. Nicely, second by Mr. Shaw. Melissa?
Mrs. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Griffith?
Yes.
Mr. Nicely?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Vanderstaal?
Yes.
Mr. Garton?
Yes. That moves us to item 2B, to discuss and consider an emergency ordinance entitled "An Ordinance to Effectuate Temporary Changes in Certain Deadlines and to Modify Public Meeting and Public Hearing Practices and Procedures to Address Continuity of Operations Associated with the Pandemic Emergency." Ryan, again, please.
What this ordinance does is a couple things, and I'll hit the highlights. It is in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The need for continuity of government and the limitations on public assembly as currently put in place by the Commonwealth. The ordinance would cover the Board of Supervisors, the school board, and other boards, commissions, and authorities the board appoints members to serve on. Okay, so it covers them as well. The ordinance allows meetings by electronic means, notices to the public on access to the meeting, and guidelines on receipt of public comment. The ordinance is in effect for a period of 60 days unless amended, rescinded, or readopted by the Board of Supervisors. If there are any questions, I'll try to answer them, and we also have County Attorney.
I forgot to acknowledge Jim Gwynn. I'm sorry.
By video to answer questions.
Like an umpire, if I'm not noticed, it's good.
I'd like to do a roll call for any comments by board members. Mr. Griffith?
Good to go.
Mr. Shaw? Mr. Nicely?
Yeah, I guess it's all right.
Ms. Vanderstaal?
I'm good with putting this into place.
Ms. Cox?
I'm good with it as well.
I'm also good with it. I'd like to ask for a motion and a second to approve.
Comment.
Motion by Mr. Nicely,
Second.
second by Ms. Cox. Melissa?
Mrs. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Griffith?
Yes.
Mr. Nicely?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Vanderstaal?
Yes.
Mr. Garton?
Yes. And that brings us to needing a motion to adjourn.
Comment.
I have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, thank you all. Welcome to the 21st century.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Aye.
See you on the Nickelodeon channel.